All right, so here we are again. This is the second part of our hand conditioning and strengthening videos. And I really want to make it interesting for you guys. And for me, in order to do that, I like to think about the context for these things, right? Because for me, my discovery of a lot of these practices of body conditioning have come from not necessarily, not always the martial arts, but these practices for me have come through actually doing hard labor. And if I had known what I know now, like 15 years ago when I almost 15 years ago, 12, 13 years ago, when I started doing construction work at the very, 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 very bottom level, framing houses, I think I would have developed this strength and conditioning a lot faster. But I think in a way also it was beneficial for me to not be moving so quickly, which is what I would have done had I known about these practices. Okay. So again, we're talking about why it's important for men to recondition the strength of their hands and why we have moved away from man hands, basically, as we calling them. So now we have a lot of men these days whose hands have become more weak, don't have the endurance, don't have the strength, and also don't have the condition for the kind of surfaces that we might encounter in nature. All right. So we want our hands to be tough. Okay. Why? We can avoid cutting ourselves more often. We can be more useful out of doors, so to speak. It's not just about being able to open up a jar lid that's really tight, but being able to hold objects and engage with objects and work with materials that are of a natural essence. They come from nature, right? So another example here, we have a special guest that I brought in from out of doors, and this is rock. Okay, this is like a nice little granite stone, pretty much straight out of the earth. It's very rough in its shape. It's been around for a really long time. Thanks for being here, rock. Okay, so as you can see, this rock is, a little smaller than a brick because it got cut off the one side. The thing I love about this rock is that this rock is made of natural contour and shape. Okay, so it isn't smooth, right? It's rough. So again, when I hold this rock is starting to give my body information. And if my hand is soft and gentle and sensitive, because I do work inside all day long, maybe working with computers or talking to people or whatever, not getting my hands dirty, so to speak, literally and figuratively, then my hand needs to be reconditioned to have this conversation with this rock. Okay, so I can take my finger and move it over the rough surface and get used to it. Okay, so when you're taking all these practices, it's not always going to be like easy and like, oh, that feels really good. No, it's not always going to feel really good. The nice thing is though, is you can go at a pace that isn't too jarring for your system, right? Receiving information from the hands interacts and brings information to your entire body. So if the hands are not strong, the internal system is not going to be strong. And this is coming more from this theory of all things being connected. Okay, so to train one's body and to get really maybe like really strong and big muscles and even going for runs, it's like we can do lots of different things that condition our body, make us feel good. But if we are neglecting our hands, when it comes down to it, nature's going to shred us up. Nature's going to tear us up. When it comes to self-defense, defending oneself, grappling is that place where we're gripping, we're twisting, we're leveraging, in order to overtake our opponent, or in some cases like defend ourselves, just literally defend ourselves from severe harm, right? We need these hands to be ready to receive information from the external world. All right, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about a fun hitting practice that I just started doing more of this recently. I saw a video of one of my teachers doing something similar like this, but on a wooden pillar. This is not a wooden pillar, this is a heavy bag. Okay, so it has some give, it's a little softer. All right, so you can do this with a bean bag, or well, I'll show you the bean bag stock actually. Oh, well, I don't have the bean bag stock. So actually, you know what we're going to do is, before we get to the hitting practice, we're going to talk again about hand strength and grappling. All right, so this is my dog's leash. It's the thickest rope that I have on my property. Again, you're seeing how it's like I'm not going to run out and buy a product for every single use. I'm just looking around and thinking about what is it that I need. I think about what is the essence of what I need. What I needed was a rope. I just need a rope. I need it to be a relative thickness, right? No thin, like it can't be a thin piece of, just tying down string or something like that, right? It needs to be rope, it needs to be strong. And when I saw this, it was exactly what I needed. So I pick it up, I add it to my gym, moving on. All right, so with this rope, one thing I can do is I can start to tie knots. And I can pull them tight. I can really cinch it up, and then I'll tie another knot. And you pull it tight, pull on the rope, right? Making knots. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and I'm going to start to untie it. Now that knot wasn't super tight, but I wanted to just show, for example. So when I have to take apart a knot out of this this strong, sturdy rope, I have to dig in with the tips of my fingers, right? And so now I'm starting to like strengthen the tips of my fingers. I'm pulling on it. I'm getting used to that feeling. The other thing I can do is I can use this rope to push and pull at the same time, right? This is conditioning to different textures, different surfaces, and that feeling of pulling on the rope itself is grabbing my skin, right? I'm callousing up my skin in this way. Okay, I can wrap it around my hand, right? And pull, just pulling different ways, creating all these different conditions for sensory experience in the body, for engaging and toughening my hand, right? I could whip my hand with this strap, right? All kinds of different stuff. All right, so that's gonna be part 2. Part 3, we're gonna move on to some striking drills. I'll see you there.